there's a big difference.
There is a big difference.
But even though there's a big difference, it's still very amazing the quality that you can get with Riverside. And I have to say, if you're just listening to this podcast, you probably should come watch the video podcast, because to watch Veronica react to all of the moscas or the flies is quite entertaining.
The moscas love me.
Pod Sound School presents Content Jefe, the podcast that helps online business owners make better content and more money. Let's Jefe up.
Hey there, welcome to Content Jefe. I am Veronica.
And I'm Studio Steve.
And this podcast is for you if you are in the business of making content and you want to use your content to promote your personal brand, to promote your business, and you want to learn how to make better content that will make you money, a lot of money.
And if you can't tell by the audio, if you're just listening to this, we are recording portably, not remotely, as people more commonly record with solutions like Riverside. We're on the road, and we're in one of our favorite cafes. This is Cafe El Paraiso, and we are
Valparaiso.
Valparaiso, and we are in Cali, Colombia.
Yes, we are. We come here every year for July, and we bring our kids. And every year we come, we have to bring portable recording equipment to record our video podcast and to record videos for YouTube. And we thought that it would be a good idea for us to share the equipment that we got here, that we were able to pack in a small backpack, and how are we recording our content while we are away from our studio.
Yes, with the special focus on really stripping down the setup so that it's completely battery powered, so that it's completely remote or portable, and you can just fit it in a backpack and take it wherever you need to go. This is perfect if you are traveling for conferences, and it's perfect if you're at a hotel, or if you want to find your favorite coffee shop, maybe change things up with your host and podcast in new, fun places. It's also perfect for vlog-style podcasts and travel podcasts.
Yeah, the content creation doesn't need to stop just because you're going to be away from your studio. You can take it everywhere with you.
And this is going to be a really informative episode. We're going to really break it down into two parts. The first part, we're going to talk about the equipment. We'll talk about the equipment we're using right now, but we'll also talk about some different setups that you can use for your portable video podcasts. And then we'll go into some best practices.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. Hey, Jefe, I'm interrupting this episode to tell you about a recent graduate of our video podcast EditLab program, Dan, who just started his new editing company called elephantmedia.co. Dan is great to work with, an incredibly talented editor, and he actually edited this video podcast episode that you're watching or listening to now. So make sure you check the description for his information if you're looking for an incredible editor for your own video podcast. Okay, now back to the episode.
Okay, so let's talk about equipment. And the first piece of equipment we're going to talk about is your smartphone, because you may be thinking, well, I'm just going to bring my phone and record content and record video for an hour and a half, and then I'll be able to transfer those files from my phone to your Google Drive or to your computer. And let me tell you, that is going to take forever, or it will be impossible. I tried to do that once. I met with one of my students over Zoom, and I placed my phone to the side of me so I can capture a little bit of my coaching session with my student. And it was impossible for me to transfer those files to our Google Drive. So something that you want to do, and this is a little hack, or maybe you are familiar with this, but for me was a hack that I've been recommending to my clients, is to record on an app that will allow you to directly upload your video or the content that you record directly to their cloud. The app that we use is Riverside FM. If you didn't know, Riverside FM allows you to record a video podcast interview remotely, so you can connect with people, like even if they're not there in the studio with you. And they have an app that you can download to your smartphone, and through the app, you can record your videos, you can connect with other people and record your interviews, and the content, the video won't be recorded on your phone, it will be recorded on their cloud, and there you can use Riverside later in your computer to do minor edits. Riverside is integrated with Buzzsprout, is integrated with Spotify for podcasters, so you can directly post your video podcast on Spotify to podcasters. I mean, this app is powerful. if you are going to use your smartphone to record your content
Yes.
while on the go.
Now, the other thing about recording smartphone podcasting is how are you going to get two people like what we're doing in the shot and still get good audio?
Exactly.
How would you?
Well, you have something that we're doing right now. You may see that if you are watching this episode instead of listening, if you're listening, let me describe this for you. We are holding our wireless microphones. These are the Rode Wireless Me. They have the Rode Wireless Pro. They have different wireless microphones that can connect to your smartphone or can connect to your camera, and that's how we are recording the audio. If you are using your smartphone, maybe you've noticed that you need to have your phone placed very close to your face in order for your phone to pick up good audio. The farther away you put your smartphone, then the audio will be compromised. And if you want to record two people, then that will become an issue. A good way for you to capture audio in your smartphone is to get these wireless microphones. And with the Wireless Me, you can add up to 2 microphones. So that means that you can have a guest and you can have another microphone, and then you'll have this little receiver that looks like the wireless microphone that you connect to your smartphone, and you're good to go as far as audio. And
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm covering audio. I guess I'm becoming an audio expert.
You are. The
after
more we
years.
do this and all of the gear reviews you've been doing, now I can just sit back and relax and let you do it. More specifically with the Rode Wireless Me and also with the Rode Wireless Pro, there is a receiver, which they call RX, and then there's the microphone transmitters, which they call TX. And so both Veronica and I right now are using 2 transmitters. In this setup, we're actually plugged, our receiver is plugged into our Sony camera, which is the next setup we're going to cover. And so why don't we move on to that, and I can cover that.
Yes.
Really, any Sony camera is going to do great for this. And the reason that we prefer the Sony cameras is they get a much higher quality over your phone. You can then record directly into your SD card, which makes it completely 100% portable. One of the problems that you run into with our experiments so far with Riverside, and we're continuing to do more experiments, is you are also reliant on the internet connection itself. And while the audio quality is very impressive, you will hear that like internet interference. You will pick up some noise, and there will be some issues that you have. The audio quality will be reduced compared to if you were recording a short video directly onto your phone.
And also the video quality as well is not the same. If you compare the video that you capture with your professional camera directly to the SD card, and then you compare that video with the video that you will capture on Riverside, then you can see the difference. Like I was a firm believer that there wasn't a difference, but yeah.
There's a big difference.
There's a big difference.
But even though there's a big difference, it's still very amazing the quality that you can get with Riverside. And I have to say, if you're just listening to this podcast, you probably should come watch the video podcast, because to watch Veronica react to all of the moscas or the flies is quite entertaining.
The moscas love me.
She doesn't have some kind of condition where she twitches a lot. She's
Well,
actually...
how come you don't get bothered by the moscas?
Because
just
I'm a horse.
landing
I'm a
on you?
caballo. I don't need...
They land on
I'm
your
fine.
mouth?
Yeah, I'm an animal.
your head.
Soy animal, and I don't care about the
Mira,
moscas.
it's gonna land.
Just let it be
No,
a
no
horse.
me gusta. They step on caca.
Okay, so back to the Sony cameras again. There are a lot of different Sony cameras that you can use. Our top all-around pick for a Sony camera would be the Sony Cinema-Line f630. It's a great camera, and it's also a really good idea with that camera to get an XLR handle unit, and we'll leave some links for this in the description of this episode so you can go check it out. This is a little bit of a pricier option, but with the XLR handle unit, you would be able to actually plug in XLR microphones into your camera, and you can use like a Shure SM58 or something like a classic handheld microphone and get even higher quality sound portably going to your camera. However, with that, you're not completely portable and wireless because you have long cables that you have to wrap and find a way to put into your camera, and the setup is a lot more complicated. So even compared to that setup versus this setup, I would still choose this Wireless Me or this Wireless Pro setup. especially the way that Veronica and I are holding this close to our mouths.
And also, if you have a tight budget or if you're not that high tech, because to tell you the truth, that camera looks very intimidating.
It is.
This is a great setup that you can use with your the camera that you're used to, then you know how to manage and how to maneuver.
And if you're looking for a good budget option for a Sony camera, we really recommend the Sony ZV-E10, which is really just an upgraded version of the Sony ZV-1, which the Sony ZV-1 has a lens that comes with it. But with the Sony ZV-E10, it actually allows you to detach and put different lenses on it. And so you can get a really high quality lens and spend a little bit more money on your lens. And then a step above that, another really good option would be the Sony a7 Mark IV. Right now, we're actually shooting on the Sony a7 III, which is the earlier version than the 4. The a7 IV is very similar, but it's kind of better than the 3, especially if you're running things solo, because it has a flip screen, so you can actually look at your shot. Here, we've had to kind of go back and forth from the camera and be tricky about the way that we set up our shot. But there's two of us, so it's easier to do that.
And we have our camera mounted on the Jefes tripod. This tripod is really cool because you can bend it and mold it and just...
It's a really great tripod because
it's a really great tripod.
It's like a
and
field
it's heavy
tripod.
duty. You can do vlogging with it because you can hold it with your hand and you can set it up on a table like the way that we do it, that we have it here for our podcast setup.
Yeah, if you're somewhere out in the wilderness, or there's a pole or a stick or even a chair, you can actually wrap and coil the tripod around the chair.
If you get attacked by a bear, you can hit the bear with the Jefes as well.
And it also
that's
fits
how heavy duty it is.
into a backpack very nicely as well, which is good. So that's
But you capture some content.
yeah. So
And
that's
then you hit the bear.
yeah, and then you hit the bear with the Joby.
As far as the lighting, so could you describe what we have going on here?
Yeah, so lighting is very important. And you want to make sure that you've always got a nice frontal light on your face and on both participants of your podcast. And so the light that we've chosen is the Elgato LED panel light. It gives you about an hour and a half of really bright daylight temperature. And so you be the judge of what it looks like here. It's about 5 feet away from us. Of course, if it has, you can actually attach this with a shoe mount, they call it. It will attach to the top of your camera. What we're using, though, is an actual kind of, we call it the palo or the stick stand. I don't know the official name of it, but we can leave the link in the description. It's an Elgato stand that looks like just a pole that also has a clamp. And we have it clamped to a chair so that we can actually get the light closer to us instead of having the light attached directly to the camera.
So that's our setup.
That's our setup. And that's what we would recommend for you is to stay completely battery powered. Now, the next step up from this, if you wanted to improve your audio even more, would then be to incorporate your laptop. So you can record on your camera, you press record, you record directly into your SD card. And then on your laptop, you record the audio using 2 USB microphones. But then, of course, you're going to have to bring 2 microphone stands with you, either desk clamping stands or tabletop stands, both of which can be heavy, cantankerous, hard to fit in a backpack. So that's why time and time again, we're coming back to these Rode Wireless Me microphones.
And with that, let's move on to best practices.
Yes, the second part of this episode, best practices. Okay, best
So now,
practices.
Yes, let's talk about some best practices because if you're going to do some portable recording and you're new at this best practice will save you a lot of headache and a lot of freakouts, and you're welcome.
Yes.
Okay, because we've been through it all.
We have.
As we were speaking here, we forgot one of the chargers.
Yes, and that brings us to the best practice. I actually forgot 2 of the chargers that we needed.
Two. So don't do that.
Make sure you bring the chargers for your batteries because you may find you didn't quite finish things. Or in our case, we wanted to take some thumbnail photos, but we're probably going to run out of juice in our light. So we might not be able to take the photos the way that we want to because I did not bring the charging cable for the Elgato light panel. So make sure you bring your chargers.
So make sure that you get extra batteries,
and
that you
charge
charge
the
your
batteries.
batteries, and that you bring also the chargers for your portable lighting.
Yeah.
Also for your camera if you use a dummy battery, because maybe at the venue or maybe at the the place where you're going to be recording, the spa, the resort, that wherever you are, they have a way for you to plug in your equipment, so you never know. So
Yes, and that
be prepared.
And that brings another best practice, which is to bring an extension cable and bring the actual plugs for the equipment as well. So the same Elgato light that we're discussing can be plugged in. And if I had brought the charger and an extension cable, we could be plugging in all of our equipment and never have to completely worry about battery power. But in the
exactly.
tradition of this episode, we're looking at how can we run and gun and be completely battery powered. So we're just trying to cruise through the episode and saving us enough juice
That's
on
right.
our
So
light.
let's see, number 2, we have our outline here because we have an outline.
We have an outline, and that's the other best practice.
That's the other best practice, is to be prepared as far as the content that you will be recording. Have an outline for the episode that you will be recording. Also, have notes, or how do you call that? A chart of all the B-roll of the place that you will be taking.
Yes,
if you're going
to
a shot list,
or a plan, any kind of just something.
Something that you don't go home or go back to your hotel room at the end of the day and you're like, oh, I forgot to do this, or I needed to do this. Because a lot of what we do is storytelling, and we do a lot of visual storytelling when we're recording our video podcast or videos for YouTube. And it's important that you have your shot list, so there are not missing parts to your story, so you can get the audience hooked from beginning to end without any missing pieces. So make sure that you sit down the night before and you lay it all out on a document, and you show up and you're prepared. And if you are paying, let's say that you're renting a place by the hour, then that's even more important that you do so you don't waste time.
And also, let's move on to the next best practice, which is to keep control of the recording time on your camera. So most Sony cameras, if you're recording at 4K, are going to shut off at 30 minutes. So what we do is we have a phone here, and we press a 30-minute or a 28-minute timer on the phone at the same time we press record on the camera, so that we make sure that we don't keep talking and get into the conversation of our podcast and the camera stops recording. And then also another big thing to watch out for is to ask permission.
Oh, yes.
Many years ago, we did another portable video similar to this experiment. And it was during the times of COVID, we snuck into a place without permission to record, and we got kicked out.
Yeah, we did. We did.
They weren't very happy with us
We managed
there.
to record the video.
Yes.
But yeah, they were not very happy to have us there. So what we did this time is that we came here in the morning and we had breakfast, and we talked to management, and we asked them if it was possible for us to record some content in the cafe, because it's so beautiful and we like it. This is one of our favorite places, and we wanted you to see it. We wanted you to bring you here with us. And they said, yeah, it's becoming more and more common for establishments like this to be familiar with people recording content, and that's publicity for the businesses as well, because we'll be sharing this on our YouTube channel and social media,
LinkedIn and
but
Instagram.
Don't show up with all of your equipment without talking to the people before you go to the venue. And if it's a conference, also get a hold of the people in charge of the conference, or if they have somebody in charge, the usual in big conferences, they have somebody in charge of the creators who are going to be recording content there. So make sure you get a hold of that person and ask for permission and what are some of the rules that you have to follow.
Yeah, and in our case, we had the luxury, because we're close by to this cafe, to come here first. And if you have that luxury, it's always a good idea, because then you can check out, do they have plugs? Are you going to be able to plug in somewhere? Is it noisy? Are they going to allow you, like they have here?
Are there moscas?
Are there moscas everywhere? Are they going to allow you, like they have here, a special room that you can record in? All of those things. And if not, you can hopefully hook up over the phone with someone who can answer some of those questions for you as well too.
And that is it for this episode.
Yes.
If you are, if launching a video podcast is one of the things that you want to do before the year ends. Make sure that you contact us. We work one-on-one with clients. We can help you set up your studio. We can help you get familiar with your equipment so you know how to set up your studio and record a video podcast.
We provide custom training video tutorials for you and your team to get you trained and up and running with a legit content marketing studio.
Yeah, we're also going to be launching some very fun programs this year. And you can get all that information by going to padsoundschool.com.
Yeah, and until next time, like usual.
Yes, Jefe up. Subscribe to the channel and send this episode to one of your content creation besties.
Yes.
I always say beasties.
Oh, don't say beasties, because they might think you're calling them a beast.
Beast.
Send this to one of your content creation
My friends are
bestias.
My friends are beasties.
Or I like to call them content curious.
Yeah, content curious.
All right,
Okay,
F.A.
bye. The Moscas love me.